Today we are going to discuss about stacks and SwiftUI. So stack was there in UI kit as well, but in SwiftUI we have more options of stack views. So what today we are going to cover is today we are going to cover as HStack, which is called horizontal stack. Let me write it, and we will cover VStack and we'll cover GStack, which is written as ZStack. So we use this stack as a container. Let's say that if I have to uh, put multiple object into my view. So as this body always returns only one view. So if I have to return multiple views, in that case, I can use this container to group my objects. So this will behave as a parent, and then inside that we can have multiple child of it. So let's start with VStack. So here I have VStack, and let's see, take a simple rectangle to understand the concept. So I have taken rectangle and let give some color to it. Let's say I've given red color. So now if you see, as in the body, I have just one V stack. So by default, what is happening? The V stack is taking the complete space of my available option, available area. Now, as in the V stack, we have only one rectangle. So in that case, the rectangle is taking the complete available area of that view. What if I have one more rectangle? So let's take copy, paste it, one more. Let's say change the color yellow. Let's change to black or blue. So now if you see in my stack, I have three rectangle and all are equally divided. So what is happening? This V stack or H stack, they divide the space which is available equally to its children element. Now, if you see that here there is a little space, if you can see, between these two views. So by default, the stacks are having some spacing. That spacing, I think it's like something around 8. Now, if let's say that if I have to increase or decrease, or I have to just keep my spacing as 0. So what I can do, I can go here and I can write, see we have alignment, spacing, content. So I will just use spacing. Sorry for spelling mistake, spacing, again it's wrong. And let's say I put it as 50. So now what will happen? Now see, the space between each of my rectangle becomes 50. Now, if I may try to make it nil, it will again go back to the default state that is 8, because the default is 8. So if I have to, like if I don't want any spacing at all, I'll just put it as 0. So that now if you see, there's no spacing at all. Now there's one more factor which is called alignment. So let's use that as well. So alignment, GNMENT. Yeah. Now, if I write, by default alignment is center. So even if I'm writing center, you're not seeing any such difference. Now, what is if I change it to other options? If you see the other options which are available, we have trailing, leading. Let's say if I change it to trailing, still you don't see any space. Now, why you are not seeing any difference, anything, even if I'm changing to trailing or I'm changing it to leading? Because these rectangles by default are occupying all the available spaces. So even if I'm setting to leading, trailing, center, there's no difference. Now, if I have to look at the difference, what I can do, I can set the frame for any of these rectangles. So let's say that I set the frame as 100 and 100 height, 100 width. Now, if you see, the first rectangle becomes 100 of width and 100 height of size. Now, as the alignment is leading for my vertical stack, that's why you see this rectangle on the left hand side. Now, let's change it to trailing. Now you see the rectangle, the red one moves on the right hand side, and similarly if I move it to center, it comes in center, and if I delete it center as well, it remains in the center because by default the alignment is center. So this way how you see we can arrange um, different child into a vertical stack. We can change, we can play with the spacing, we can play with the alignment, all those things. Now the same thing the HStack does, but the only difference between the HStack and the VStack is instead of the vertical direction, it plays into the horizontal direction. So let me include a HStack here. And what I will do, I'll just copy the same three rectangle and paste it in my horizontal stack. Now you might find a little confusing, so let me change this blue color to some other color, let's say gray. Now you see the last section here, you see three boxes which is of my horizontal stack. First one obviously the red one, 100 smaller size, and if you see it looks like that it is center because by default again horizontal stacks are centrally aligned. Spacing again by default it's 8. Then we have yellow and we have gray one. Again we can play the same thing spacing with here 0. You will not see any spacing. Again I can play with the alignment also. So let's say I made it equals to bottom, so it comes bottom. Here we have again top, and then by default is the center. So the VStack and HStack both plays similar roles. As you can see, the only difference is that one's arranged in the vertical direction and one arranged in the horizontal stack. Now, depending on your UI uses, we choose a combination of VStack, HStack, anything. Now, by default, always you will find, or in most of the cases, that we keep our root as VStack or GStack, not as HStack, because we always want to have the complete space of the screen in vertical so that we can have more and more elements, and then use HStack accordingly. Now, GStack is little different from VStack and HStack. Now, what the GStack does, you can consider that, let's say that if you have a table and on that you put one tablecloth and on that you put another tablecloth. So you are arranging one tablecloth over the other tablecloth. So that's how the G stack works. It arranges the view on top of each other. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut it out and let's take a G stack and just put this code here. And inside that, I'll take a, or let's take simple rectangle, the example which we took earlier, and foreground color dot red. Now let's see how it looks. So let it resume and let's have a look. So again, by default, G stack, we have rectangle, and as we have not provided any frame, so it is taking the complete space. Even if I take one more rectangle, now in this case, now you will not see the red one, and you can now relate. The reason is obvious that you have a table on that you first have a red tablecloth for the complete table, and on top of that you have again a yellow tablecloth. So obviously the red tablecloth will not be visible. So it it is there, but we are not able to see it because the yellow is completely now overlapping it. Now if I want to see, I can do one thing. I can just reduce the size. So I can just fix some frame. Let's say that 200 height and 200 width, and let's delete this alignment. Now you see we have by default the red one on the background. So now you can consider that I have a red tablecloth, but I have a smaller, like let's say maybe a hanky of yellow color on top of it. So that the both red and yellow is visible to us. Now why yellow is in center? That's again can be question. So here again we have something called alignment, and by default the alignment is center. So if you see here, we have center, trailing, leading, bottom, top. If I give it top, you will see the yellow goes on the top because the red is already taking the complete space, the whole available space. So even if I do top, bottom, leading, trailing, the red is not going to change in this case. If I go to leading, it will come here. So now I think the G stack, V stack, and H stack is clear to you, like how and when we have to use this G stack, V stack, and H stack. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to design a simple screen with using this G stack and V stack and the image and the text what we have read in our previous video. So for that, let me include some images. So what I will do, I'll bring some of the images. So just give me a minute. Let it bring it down. So this is the first image. I'm calling it as a background. Let me bring one more image. I'm calling it as app icon, the next image. So let me just have that image at well here. So I have two icon here. So one is an app icon, one is a background. So I'm just trying to create a simple screen with using this background and this app icon and some text showing that how in the actual scenario or well when you are going to develop the actual app you are going to use these concepts. So what we are going to do is that again I'm removing this from here, keeping it in my comment section and removing this alignment. So now I have a G stack. Now why I'm taking G stack, because I want to keep this background, like this image in my background, and on top of it I want to keep my content. Now let's say that if you use a V stack and or H stack for this. So if you use a V stack, if you add this image as your first element, then your second and third and whatever you're going to add, that will not add on top of it. That will add as a separate, like just how we saw just now. But if we use G stack, how GStack works, it adds on top of the other element. So I can put my background as my first element, and on top of it, I can add other content as well. Okay. So that's the reason I'm choosing this GStack here. So what I will do, I'll use an image and not system name because I'm not using system image. I'm using my own image, and I'll put this background here. Let it resume, and we'll wait for how it appears. So right now what you should see that image is taking the complete available space and it's working perfectly as expected. Now what I'm going to do, like I'll put this image and one text, like we have read the text, so we'll just keep one text on top of this background image. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a V stack now. Now this V stack will come on top of image because this image is taking the complete space, or if you want to make sure you can keep resizable so that it takes the uh, all the available space of your safe area, or if you just want to remove it, you don't, then it will take by default whatever the size is. So now in this V stack, uh, what I will do, I'll take again a image, and this image I'll put the content as uh, app icon. So let it wait for render, and now you can see the app icon. Now if you have seen about that thing, like how we can make this circle, so we will just use that. So we'll make it resizable, then scale to fit, and we'll set it frame. So I just want to look at that center. So let's say I'm making it 200 height and 200 width, and I'll clip it. So clip shape, and I'll clip it to circle. Okay, it's looking little nice. Now below this, let's say that if I'm developing a sign-in page or something like that, okay, or uh, I want to put some text into it, so I can just take a text here and put some text here. Want to log in? Let's change the color to white. White will look good. We can change it to headline so that it looks little bigger. Okay. Now let's say that if I'm taking a button. Now till now we have not covered button, so I'll not go with any SwiftUI directly coding. So let's say that we can let's try to drag and drop and see how it works. So button, the first component is button, and see it's very simple. This is button, and then we have the button text, and then all the things are there. This is one of the way, and the other way we can do is like we can write it as well. We can write it like button, and then this, or let me show you the complete syntax how it appears. Okay, anyway it's not coming, so let me write. So this is the button uh, action block, and then we can have a label in the button. So label is nothing but what text or you're going to provide into it, what was the content of that thing. So in the print, I'm just print login tab because this is my login button, and in the text I'll put, let's say, login. Let the error go away. So still I'm not able to see my button, so just wait for some time to button to appear. Yeah, now I can see the login button. Now let's I want to put, let's say, some background color to my button, and I want to change my text color of the button. So see, this is your button, and here, like, this whole thing is your button, and here you have the text. So whatever you have to write for text, we'll write it here. So here I'll again change the text color to white. White is my one of the favorite color. And now I want to give the frame to button. Now let's say that if I want to make the button occupy the complete width, leaving some margin on the left side on the right side. So that means I cannot give randomly 200 or 300, something like that, because based on the screen size, the width of the device, it will vary. Like let's say that for iPhone SE, the width is 320, height is 568. So it is different for different devices. So what we are going to do, we are going to take the width from the device itself, not by hard coding it. So we have UI screen dot main dot bounds dot width. So what this will give you, this will give you the exact width of the device where you are running. So if you're running on iPhone 12 Pro, it will give you the width of 12 Pro. If you're running on, let's say that SE or 6 or 13, whatever you're running, it will give the width of that. Similarly, you can get the height as well. So right now I don't worry about height. I just want to take the width, and I want to leave 40-40 space on the both side. Like let's say left hand side 40, right hand side 40. That means 40 plus 40, it becomes 80. So that is what my width of the button will be. And I'm going to provide height as 50. Alignment, I don't need it right now. So I just delete the alignment. Okay, now I also need to provide the background color. So color dot blue. Now let it wait to occur here in the preview screen. So yeah, you can see it that I have button which is looking now I think perfect. One more thing we can do, like generally we see in the UI that we make the corner radius, like the corner of the buttons little rounded, so we can set the corner radius as well. So let's say corner radius as 8. So you can see that in the all the four corners we have little curved shape. So that's way how we can make this a simple screen using GStack, VStack, but it's still something not looking that much good. Like if you see this image, this would look little more on the top, and this like the difference would be like no, this want to login. This looks this has to be in one part, and this image has to look little no like there should be gap. So what we can do for that, we can take another VStack and we can put this text and this button inside this VStack. Now, how does this help? We'll see it right now. And here I am giving the spacing as let's say 24. Okay. And now if you see that I have one VStack where we have one image, and inside that I have another VStack where I have text and I have a button. So between the image and not this whole thing, I can give another spacing which is different from this. So I can give a spacing, let's say 160. It is letting, let's say 120 is fine. So now you can see that using two VStack, I solved my spacing issues. Like if I would have given 120 spacing for the all three element, it would have made all the three element looks pretty apart, which may not look good. So now let's run this app and see how it actually looks in a real device. So I'm just running it. Somehow the build got failed. Let me run it again. It succeeded. And now we will see how actually it looks. So just wait for it to launch. And and here it is. You see it, it looks really nice as a simple screen, as like till now what we have read, like how we can use images, button, text, vertical stack, horizontal stack, G stack to create a beautiful screen like this. So thanks for watching this video, and if you really like this video, please do subscribe and click the bell icon. Thank you so much.